topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Bonita Bell-Andersen, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Hello, and welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, where we start with asking good questions about money and health and whatever else is top of mind. My name is Bonita Bell-Andersen, your financial advisor host, and today is our first ever podcast. We are kicking it off today. First, I will be doing an introduction about myself, and then we will be going through interesting tidbits about Social Security, basically a mini workshop, if you will, as that is something I have been teaching workshops on for years. Today will be part one. There is so much to go through with this, and so this will be a topic that is obviously best for people who are in this stage of life. Next week, we will be doing part two, where we figure out how to coordinate Social Security with our other retirement assets that we have. But today we will be going through a lot of the basics, and so that you understand just what in the heck you're dealing with this government benefit program that we all know about. So, all right, so if we can go ahead and start the slides. So, again, I'm so excited to be starting this, and so let me ask you or tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a financial advisor for about 25 years. I have been teaching at local community colleges for many years. I'm also an author. My latest book is called Money, Mindset, and the Suddenly Single, The Ultimate Guide for Divorcees and Widows. This is actually out on Amazon right now. I'm a proud team member of 10CAP Wealth Coaching, and have done a lot of community service through the years with local nonprofits. I'm married to a retired pharmacist. I'm mother to 3 amazing daughters and sons-in-laws. I'm mother-in-law to 4 amazing sons and their wives. And I am grandma to 23 little ones. How in the heck did that happen? I'm a big sports fan of Gonzaga basketball because I hail from Spokane, Washington. I'm also a Washington State University alum, so I'm all about Cougars football and also Seahawks football. You can tell I'm a Washington State girl. I am into the newest craze out there called pickleball, and I'm an avid scuba diver. Don't get to go to do that nearly enough. So I basically became a snowbird it's been about 5 years ago. I do have an office up in Washington State and an office in southern Utah, but basically everything is remote now, so it works really well. So my husband, who has been very supportive of all these crazy things that I've done, is a dad, a grandpa, a wife supporter. He had lost his first wife to cancer, and I had gone through a divorce, so he's been exploring new avenues in retirement, including pickleball and hiking and family history research and volunteering. He's the one waving at you in that lower right-hand corner. All of our family is long distance, as many of you might be able to relate to. So we are mobile, going where they are quite a bit. And if I have to work, and when I do work, it's a lot of times from my laptop and my cell phone. So here's a quick picture. Now, we're going to be talking about Social Security today. You know what? I'm not so concerned about you and me. I'm concerned about all these little ones. I'm concerned about the kids that are in their mid-40s and wondering what's going to happen, but especially these little ones that have maybe 50, 60 years from now, what's going to be happening there? We're going to be talking about a lot of that. So optimizing your Social Security is what I call this. Knowing what you can do so that you know what you should do. So this discussion is going to take part over the course of 2 weeks. Today's part 1, and we will finish up this discussion next week with how to integrate Social Security with the rest of your retirement savings. And of course, you know, when you're dealing with a financial advisor, there is a disclosure. This is an educational program. It's not intended to sell investments or insurance products. It's not intended to provide tax or legal advice. Always consult with whatever advisor you work with to make sure that you're doing what's right for your situation. It's also not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Administration or any other federal or state government agency. So there's no offers here. What I will be doing is inviting you to do a Zoom call with us at the end of the program so that you can get your questions answered about your particular situation. My firm that I'm affiliated with is called 10 Cap Wealth Coaching. It's a registered investment advisory firm that's an SEC nationally licensed firm. And we have a phenomenal team that does a myriad of things. And so it is I'm very, very happy and pleased to be associated with that. So today is an over the treetops, if you will, look at Social Security issues. We want to encourage questions, but ask for you to reserve that content unique to your situation for your complimentary strategy session on Zoom. And the scheduling link will be at the end of today, all right? There is a PDF that I will also give you, which is called the Social Security Fact Sheet. And so that will be coming to you when you schedule that appointment. All right. So here's the question on everybody's mind. Doesn't it just make sense to just take the benefit at age 62 and be done with it and get paid for a longer amount of time than waiting until age 70? Well, are you thinking you're maybe going to live past age 79? You know, more and more and more people are going into their 90s, but 50% of the population has filed by age 62. That's, you know what, in a lot of cases, it's because people don't have any other income. It's kind of sad. Well, by FRA, which means full retirement age, approximately 95% have filed. There's only about 1% of the population that delay until age 70. But I'm going to talk to you about why you should do that. So this is what happened about almost 10 years ago. Congress, by the way, has the ability to make changes to Social Security whenever they want. And you can bet there's going to be more changes coming up. But they did quite a few changes that had to do with some things that people had been used to for a long time, like called file and suspend, retroactive lump sum, restricted application. That all changed. And now pretty much everything is based off of your own benefit that you get at full retirement age. So what in the heck is that? Well, it's when the formula has figured out what your benefit is going to be at your full retirement age, which is, for most people on this podcast, you're going to be age 67. There's a possibility that some, you look at your Social Security estimated benefits statement and you'll find out when your full retirement age is. But if you do anything, and I'm going to be repeating this, anything you do before your full retirement age, you're going to get penalized. And if you wait beyond your full retirement age, you're going to receive a bonus, some things called delayed credits. All right. So let's just quickly look at where we've been. 1935 was when Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed it into law, but it didn't take long before taxes were being taken out. And 1940 was when there were regular monthly benefit payments began. 56 when they started disability, but it wasn't until 1972 that they actually started doing cost of living increases. So there are 454 million numbers that have been issued. Criminy, that's a lot of numbers. The amount of taxes collected is about 13.8 trillion, and the amount of benefits paid has been about 11.3 trillion. That's going up. There's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring. So back in 1940, 222,488 people were receiving Social Security, less than 1% of the population. But now, 66 million people, and that's going up. We've got lots of baby boomers that are retiring right now. So that's about 22% of the total population. Back in 1940, the typical benefit was about $22.71. Now, the average monthly benefit is $18.62. So you can see there's been quite a few changes over the years. So just remember that Congress can and will make a lot of changes, and there's got to be some changes coming up. Back in 1940, the average life expectancy was 64. Now it's in the mid 80s, with many, many, many more living into their 90s because of the things we have going on with medical science and everything. But I'm going to go over this. See the little box there that talks about how payroll taxes are going down. And if Congress doesn't do anything, there is only going to be enough money to pay 79% of scheduled benefits. We're going to talk about what in the heck does that mean? So again, so that you have context on what's going on with this government program. In 1940, there was 159 workers to every one person receiving Social Security. 2010, it dropped to 2.9. Now it's 2 to 1, really, just about. And the year that they're expecting benefits to go down is 2034. So this is something that's been on the table for a long time, and Congress has been kicking it down and down. But how long do you need to plan for retirement? If you're a healthy male, you have a 25% chance of living beyond 92. Healthy females at 65, well, 25% chance of living past 94. But if you are a couple, you're both healthy at age 65, there's a 25% chance of at least one of you living beyond 97, and at least a 10% chance of one of you living beyond 100. And we see that with all of the birthdays happening for people that are reaching 100 years old. This is scary too. This came out several years ago, but this was an article in Time magazine about a baby living to be, could a baby live to be 142? Well, the authors of the article thought so. And that's a scary thought for a lot of baby boomers and people that are retiring, because they're going, oh, do I have enough money? How's that gonna work out? But this is what Social Security's legal name is. Old Age Survivor and Disability Insurance is basically an insurance program put on by the government. Now, Ida Mae Fuller was the very first one that ever received a benefit. Now, I'm telling you that because she received her first benefit in 1950. But talking about people that live long, Ida Mae passed away in 1975 at the age of 100. So this thing with people living a long time and needing income for a long time after they retire from working is a serious issue, something to be considered. All right, let's turn to qualifying for this benefit. It's tied to your work record. There's a maximum of 4 credits every year. One credit is worth $1,730, which means 4 credits in 1 year is $6,920. It is only earned income. That means no income from rentals and things like that. To qualify for Social Security, you need to have a minimum of 40 credits, which basically means 10 years of work, right? Okay, let's talk about spouses because that is a big topic. Now, if you are in the same age bracket that I am, you probably remember these people. This is Ward and June Cleaver. The show was called Leave It to Beaver, and we're going to use them as an example family, okay? Ward earned credits while he was working, and June stayed home with the Wally and the Beav. So we're going to take them through several different scenarios with having to do with Social Security. So basically, what a spousal benefit means with Social Security is that a non-working spouse who may have benefits and may not, but let's say she has a lot less than her husband, she is entitled to 50% of his higher benefit. So in all cases, I don't care how you're looking at this, if you do any of this before your age, your full retirement age, you're going to be your benefit is going to be reduced. And so like at age 62, their benefit is reduced by as much as 30%. That is locked in and it stays that way for the rest of your life. So I'm going to make an argument for waiting until 70 so you maximize your Social Security. All right. So, but with spousal benefits, that spousal benefit is based on the higher earning spouse, their 50% of their benefit, which doesn't increase after full retirement age. So the spousal benefit is always based on the full retirement age of the higher earning spouse. Okay. So then let's take this example with June. So let's say Ward is at his FRA or full retirement age. He retires and he claims his benefit. Let's say it's just make it $2,000 a month. So what is June's spousal benefit? 50%, right? $1,000. So let's say her own benefit at full retirement age is $800. Well, what they're doing now is they're doing what they call a spousal add-on. So they would add on to June's benefit that she would take, if she took it at her full retirement age, a $200 spousal add-on. So she would get up to $1,000. And so that is the most common way that spousal benefits are done. If she does anything before her full retirement age, there's going to be a reduction. Okay, so here's the thing to remember. After full retirement age, a spouse has the option to choose their own benefit or file for their spousal benefit. Okay. Now remember, whatever I'm saying is generalities. You will need to talk to Social Security to get the skinny on your particular situation. So, but between a husband and a wife, one or the other has to file for benefits in order for the other to be eligible to receive spousal benefits, okay? You don't have to file until you're actually ready to take your Social Security. You don't have to file when you reach age 67. You can wait until you're 70 if you want to, and Social Security is not going to come knocking on your door saying, hey, you haven't filed yet. So, however, what I say is a lovely gift to your spouse. I'm using generalities here, but if the husband is older and he has a larger benefit, it's a lovely gift to the spouse if he waits to optimize and take his Social Security at age 70 and have the largest Social Security check that he can have, because if he dies before her, that larger benefit will go to her. And so that is why I say that is a huge gift to the spouse if the spouse is going to live beyond them. Well, let's say that let's back to June. Let's say she does wait until full retirement age and she gets that $200 spousal benefit. All right. Now, if she waits until age 70, her own benefit is going to be larger. And so that's, that would be to her benefit to wait. Now, I get it. Sometimes people can't wait. But if you can, wait until 70, because cost of living increases are going to be based on the higher number. And that is all, going to factor into how much you're going to have when you're 80 and how much you're going to have when you're 90. Well, what about divorced spouses? A lot of the same things apply. But in the case of a divorced spouse, they have to be currently unmarried. They have to be at least 62. But remember, don't take it at 62. It's going to be reduced if you do. They had to have been married at least 10 years. And the ex-spouse needs to be at least 62. All right. So those are all things to remember. So if you, in order to maximize your benefits, you might be qualified to take a divorced spouse benefit from age 67 to 70 and then start your own benefit at age 70. I'm not saying that this is exactly going to happen in your situation. You have to go talk to Social Security, but just make sure you're asking them the right questions. Don't let them talk you into starting your benefit early, because that lower benefit that you get penalized on is going to be locked in for the rest of your life. So let's just say we're back to Ward and June. Let's say they divorced after the beaver was caught shoplifting at JCPenney. Can you believe it? Well, she's 62. She's currently unmarried. They were married for at least 20 years. And Ward is 65, but he's delaying his benefits until he's age 70. So believe it or not, she can go into the Social Security office with a copy of their marriage certificate and the divorce papers, and he doesn't even have to know. That is the truth. They might not necessarily even contact him. So what about widows? What about people that have lost a spouse? These are by the way, these are the things that I am addressing in my book, which is called Money Mindset and the Suddenly Single, for those that have gone through a divorce, those that are dealing with having lost a spouse. And those are all things that I find are critical for people who are going through that change in life. So if someone has lost a spouse, that spouse can switch to her husband's higher benefit at his death and vice versa. There's no gender thing here. It's just whoever's benefit is higher. The survivor benefit is going to be based on the high earning spouse's benefits. So if the wife was a higher earner and died, then she's going to keep her own benefit if her husband's benefit was lower. That benefit's going to include any delayed credits because they waited, and also those cost of living increases. So a widowed spouse can claim benefits as early as age 60 or 50 if they're disabled, but please, please, please don't do that, because you're going to be penalized. It gets locked in, and like I said, that locked in penalty stays with you throughout your life. So if a widow was married at least 10 years and their spouse dies, whether they were still married or divorced at the time of the death, they may be entitled to a survivor benefit. So if the survivor remarries before age 60, there isn't any survivor benefit unless that marriage ends. Okay? So here's another story that I made up. Let's say Ward passed away and June remarries at age 55 to Ted, Ward's golfing buddy. So she goes in to claim benefits at age 60 based on Ward, but was disallowed because of her marriage to Ted. So, believe it or not, she could promptly divorce Ted and claim her benefits on Ward. And let's say that she now happily lives on a golf course with the beef who owns the course. So there's crazy things that can happen, and there's a myriad way of these things, the way these things come across. So it's totally, individual situations. So here's the thing about widows. They can qualify for benefits based on their own work credits. And if they do that, they may want to receive survivor benefits from age 60 to 69 and then take advantage of delayed credits on their own benefit at age 70. So remember again, see, I'm becoming a broken record here. There's reductions to benefits on all of these ways that happen if you take it before your full retirement age. Okay, just remember that. So now, talking about working, until you reach full retirement age, working is going to reduce your benefit. Do not take Social Security while you're still working before your full retirement age. So once you reach full retirement age, your benefits are recalculated so you receive the full benefit. However, you're gonna pay taxes on your Social Security as well as your work income. And because of having that Social Security, you may be bumping yourself up into another tax bracket. So just remember those types of things. Here's an example. So let's say before your full retirement age, Social Security is going to deduct $1 benefits for every $2 you earn above $22,320 in 2024. Now remember, these numbers are going to go up slightly in 2025. But Ward, who's 62, decides to work part-time at that golf course that the Beeve owns, and he earned $24,520. Well, you deduct the income allowed of $22,320, and that leaves $2,200, of which Social Security and the IRS are going to say you need to give us back $1,100, or basically 50% of the $2,200 that he was over on income that's allowed. So I'm just saying, don't get yourself into this. You are messing with not only your taxation that you could bump up, but you've also penalized yourself by taking the income way earlier than you should have. So in the year, so let's say Ward reached full retirement age and filed. And in that year, Social Security would deduct $1 in benefits for every $3 he earned above the $59,520 maximum in 2024. That higher maximum is only in the year that you turn your full retirement age. So let's have an example. So Ward took a casino job and his salary was $68,740, and then you take away that income allowed, which is $59,520. That's about $9,220 total earnings subject to the reduction. Well, that means that 1 in 3. So that means that the IRS would be coming after you saying, we need $3,073 back. So let's say his birthday's in July. There isn't any limit on your earnings starting with the month you reach full retirement age. Okay. So just remember that. But the biggest thing, the biggest warning I have is your taxable income will be the combination of your earned income and your Social Security benefits. And that, it could bump you into a higher tax bracket. Speaking of that, there's a thing called maximum taxable earnings, which is something that is self-employed income, regular wages that are covered by Social Security, that when you have a paycheck, you see Social Security and Medicare come out of your paycheck. The amount of taxable earnings that is based on this year is $168,600. That goes up a little bit. You can see in this chart that it's gone up a little bit every year. Now, this might be something that Congress would change. Maybe they'll make the maximum taxable earnings $250,000, and people will continue putting into Medicare and Social Security. I think that's one thing they're going to be looking at. So how do you find your Social Security benefit? Well, you can go to socialsecurity.gov. I just do it quick, and I do ssa.gov, and you can get there. and you can go and look at your estimated benefits. You can create an account. That's where you can go and look at exactly what's going on with you. So just remember that taking benefits before full retirement age is a really common and a very expensive mistake. What we do is we will input all your information into this analyzer, and we will show you kind of what the break-even point is for when's the best time for you to take Social Security. So let's say that the Beav was born in 1960 and his full retirement age is 67. Let's say that his benefits at his full retirement age are $2,500 a month. Well, if he took it at age 62, he'd have a penalty. It would be about $1,875. And his wife's spousal benefit is $875. So you basically can look at this calculation of when is the best time for you to receive your benefit. I'm going to tell you that whenever I've done this calculation for people, it's somewhere between age 78 and 80-ish that it's better to have waited. So if you think you have a fairly good chance of living into older age, then it's a really wise thing to do is to wait. Okay, here's an example of an actual client. If she was actually a retired pharmacist. If she would have taken her benefit at age 62, it would have been $1,630 a month. If she would have claimed at her full retirement age of 66 and 2 months, it would have been $2,172. But she waited, she listened to me, and she took her benefit at age 70 and received $2,849 a month, which is 75% more benefits than age 62. Now, again, I get it. Sometimes people can't wait, but if you can, please consider this because this is super, super, super important. A little note on cost of living increases. This typically happens every year. There were some years where there was zero cost of living increase, but it is designed to keep up with inflation, kind of. We won't get into politics here, but the average increase is about 3.28%. What's happening this next year will be 2.5%. And the Treasury illustrates 2.7% for long-term planning purposes on the savings account that's there. Well, taxation of benefits is something that everybody's wondering about. You have something called provisional income. It's your adjusted gross income, half of your Social Security benefits, and any tax-exempt interest that you may have, okay? So most people are going to be paying taxes on 85% of their Social Security benefit, but that's better than 100% of what you take out of your IRA, and I'm going to show you why you want to maximize your Social Security benefit. We also have something that is called a windfall elimination provision, okay? If you receive a pension with the government, you may have your Social Security benefit reduced because of this other program that you have with the government. But the longer you work in the Social Security covered job, the reduction's less, all right? So let's say Ward worked as an analyst, quote unquote, for the CIA for 20 years, retired from the government, and then spent 30 years at a local bookstore where he was paying into the Social Security system. He would receive a federal pension as well as full Social Security benefits, right? So let's just have a few comments. Remember, this is just my opinion, but let's talk about the future. You're hearing a little bit about this. Social Security is not like a 401k or an IRA. It's a government-run insurance program where current wage earners support those that are receiving benefits. That's what this is. So there's a trustees report that happens every fall, typically, and Medicare and Social Security is accounted for a lot of the federal budget. Now, they have what I call like a government savings account that holds about $2.7 trillion. Their total expenditures started having to dip into that trust fund in 2010. And the deficit is being covered by interest income from Treasury securities. Maybe this will help you with things you should see in the news. Well, after 2020, the Treasury started to redeem trust fund assets to pay for expenditures over the tax income and interest income. They predict the total depletion of the trust fund somewhere between 2033 to 2035. So the Social Security Administration is begging Congress to do something about this. And this whole thing with tax income being able to cover about 79% of scheduled benefits, we don't know if that means everyone who's receiving Social Security or just those that have not started Social Security yet. But here's the typical message to the public from Social Security. Neither Medicare or Social Security can sustain projected long-run programs in full under currently scheduled financing. And legislative changes are necessary to avoid disruptive consequences for beneficiaries and taxpayers. If lawmakers take action sooner rather than later, more options and more time will be available to phase in changes so that the public has adequate time to prepare. Earlier action will also help elected officials minimize adverse impacts on vulnerable populations, including lower income workers and people already dependent on program benefits. This message really has not changed. And so Congress has been kicking this down the road and kicking it down the road. Well, it's got to get fixed. So those reforms, there's probably, the last I heard, there was like 13 or 14 reform packages on the table with Congress. Reforms may include raising payroll taxes on high-income workers, which is what we talked about. Raising the retirement age, we discussed that. Revising the formulas for future benefits. That's something that we haven't really talked about, but that they could just revise the formula on how they figure this whole thing out. My opinion is that it will be solvent for many generations to come. It's not going away. Remember, there's 66 million people on it right now. So, it just has to get fixed. So here's how to optimize your benefits. Delay claiming until later. Use your IRA and 401k assets, because if you delay, your Social Security gains a guaranteed 8% per year in delayed credits, plus the cost of living increase. Then couple your Social Security benefits with whatever else you have saved. So wait to tap in, maybe claim a spousal benefit. Don't claim while you're working. Maybe claim an ex-spouse's spousal benefit. You want to be looking forward to cost of living increases, so wait. There may be a survivor benefit if you've lost a spouse. You are going to have a benefit if you work longer. You'll put into the system longer. You'll save longer. So you may consider working longer. And the tax benefit is if you have a larger Social Security benefit and a smaller need to take out of IRA assets, that's going to be a benefit. All right, here's an example on optimizing income. Let's say your IRAs could be spent down more rapidly. If you don't, taxes are going to be due on any IRA withdrawals, and more of your Social Security benefits may become taxable. Let's take the example of Bob, who has a higher benefit, and Mary, and what happens if they take their Social Security benefit at an earlier age versus later? If you take it earlier, you get more, but they're smaller. But if you delay, you're going to have a larger benefit. But use the information you know about your health and family history and optimize those things that you're looking at. So Bob is going to start receiving benefits at, he could at an earlier age. And I'm going to get to my little graph here and I'll show you. If they file earlier, they take less out of Social Security, which is the $25,000. The Social Security of the spouse is the gray, and the income needed out of the IRA is larger. If they have a larger, see how an optimized scenario be? If you have a larger Social Security benefit, larger spousal benefit, you don't have to take as much out of your IRA. This is an income need of $100,000 a year. They have assets of $750,000 retirement assets. And so this is a quick way. And of course, this is just an example. Possible to spend down your IRA assets too much if you take out more than you have to. So for me, this is one of the biggest reasons to wait and do Social Security later, because you don't have to take as much out of your own retirement assets. And so another way to look at this is if you have less Social Security, if you have more Social Security that you're getting taxed at 85% of your assets rather than 100% of your IRA. So I'm showing you this really quickly, but it's just a way to kind of open your mind to what are some of the reasons why I would want to do this. You have a potential of losing more in your IRA. You have a potential of paying too much in taxes. And so that could potentially be because your Social Security benefits weren't optimized. So it's something to think about and something to look at. What is it that will make sense for me? So what about optimizing the rest of your income? That's going to be the subject of part 2 of this discussion next week, because there's so much. Today we went through all these different things about the basics of Social Security. Next week, we will be talking about what to consider, issues and factors to consider when retiring, how to coordinate Social Security with the rest of your retirement assets like pensions and IRAs. What is the number one fear most retirees have? A brief review of starting Medicare. What does it mean with, accumulation phase and distribution phase of life? How do emotions play in when retiring? And what are the rules for investing? What are the optimal ways to think about coordinating assets? And 5 steps for planning your retirement income streams. So we will be looking forward to continuing this discussion in part 2 of this class. Thank you so much for attending today. And that again will be next Wednesday, December 18th, 6 p.m. Eastern. If there's any questions, you can email me at bonita@10cap.com. Thank you so much.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Bonita Bell-Andersen next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.